it ends up being moved over the number of places that you have zeros. We had 4 zeros here, got moved over 4 places. If we started with 0.08 and moved the decimal over 4 places, we'd count 1, 2, 3, 4, and it would end up here, and that's the 800. The 4 zeros ended up corresponding to moving it over 4 places. The 3.2 that we had here, we're multiplying by 100. 100 has those 2 zeros, so if we move the decimal over 2 places, we had to add a 0 so we could do it. We get 320. If we go back up here with the 9.18, we're multiplying by 10. That has 1 0. Move the decimal over 1 place, and we get 91.8. So if you like, when you're multiplying by powers of 10, you could just move your decimal over instead of actually multiplying it out. Now I wrote a rule down that tells us that to multiply by 10, 100, 1,000, and so on, move the decimal point to the right 1 place for each 0. So in this case, if I wanted to multiply 9.25 times 1,000, since I have 3 zeros, I have to move my decimal point to the right 3 places. So this would be, when I went past the 25, I would have moved it 2 places. So I have to add 1 more 0 so I can move it 3 places. And that gives me 9250. So my answer would be 9,250. Now this doesn't save me a lot of time. I could actually write down 9.25 times 1,000 and multiply that out pretty quickly. So if you prefer doing it that way, that would certainly be fine. Let's extend our multiplying so that we're raising to powers. Let's raise 2/10 to the 3rd power. What that means is we want to multiply 2/10 by itself 3 times. So let's write 2/10 multiplied by itself down 3 times. Now notice when I wrote it down, I didn't write the 0. Now one way to do this would be to just ignore the decimals totally and say 2 times 2 is 4 and 4 times 2 is 8, and say your answer is 8, and go back and count all your decimal places, 1, 2, 3, and make sure we had 3 decimal places, and that's the way it would look. Another way would be to do 2 of them at a time and say 2 times 2 is 4, and we need 2 decimal places for that first product, and then we take that answer and multiply it by the 0.2. And so here we'd say 4 times 2 is 8. And we need 1, 2, 3 decimal places. That's 1, 2, 3. And we get our 0.008 that way. So you could do the first 2, get that answer, and go ahead and put the decimal in if you like, and then do the next one. Now again, this would probably be written 0.008 to let us know that there was no whole number there. Let's look at another one. Suppose we wanted to do 2 6/10 squared. Let's move this one up a little bit. Let's do 2 6/10 squared. So that would mean the 2 6/10 would be a factor twice. So we'd write it down twice. Now, I can't do that one just by saying unless I know what 26 times 26 is. I'm probably going to need to put those under each other and multiply it out. So let's do that. 2 6/10 times 2 6/10, I will just multiply. 6 times 6 is 36. Carry my 3. 12 and 3 is 15. 2 times 6 is 12. Carry my 1. 4 and 1 is 5. So that's 6, 7, 6. Now I have to put my decimal in. Well, I have one decimal place here and 1 decimal place here. So when multiplying, my answer is supposed to have the sum of those. I need to have 2. So my answer would be 6 76/100. Now let's do some practice problems. Number 1, 0.1 times 0.5 times 0.03. Number 2, 16.2 times 3.45. Number 3, 4.03 times 10,000. Number 4, 0.3 raised to the 3rd power, or 0.3 cubed. Number 5, find the sum of 4.2 and 7. Once you've copied the problems down, stop the tape. The practice problem's answers are number 1, 15 10,000ths. Number 2, 55 and 8900ths. Number 3, 40,300. That is a 3 in case you cannot read that. It's 40,300. Number 4, 27 thousandths. Number 5, 11 and 2/10. This concludes Lesson 17 and our work with adding, subtracting, and multiplying decimals.